everyone, it's Elena and I reported my cyberbully to the police. Yeah, let's talk about that. Now this video is less about my actual cyberbully and a lot more about what you can do if this ever happens to you. Because cyberbullying is something that is not rare and it can happen to pretty much everyone. According to the Cyberbullying Research Center, cyberbullying is when someone repeatedly threatens, harasses, mistreats, or makes fun of another person on purpose, online, or while using cell phones or other electronic devices. And cyberbullying is not a small issue. In a nationally representative US survey, 34% of students that were teenagers said that they had been cyberbullied at some point in their life. And being bullied or cyberbullied makes students almost 2 times more likely to attempt to commit suicide. So this is definitely not a small thing. But what can you actually do if someone cyberbullies you? And that's where we get to what happened to me, what I did about it, and what I would advise other people to do if they ever find themselves in the same situation. Now, I'm not going to give the person who did this any platform on here, so I have taken the liberty to pick a different, more fitting username for them. A few days ago, someone made an Instagram account and a Twitter account dedicated to spreading vile, hateful, and abusive comments. Now, their Instagram account didn't really go anywhere because they sent me some DMs, and then I simply reported the account because it was very clearly abusive from its bio, and Instagram took it down within 2 minutes. But Twitter is a different story. As I'm filming this, the account is still up, even though it is restricted, but when an account is restricted, you can still see their tweets, so the account is still there. On this account, my cyberbully put out some gold content, like calling me a blobfish, a witch, a dirty rat, and then they also called me the ugliest person, but weirdly used a really good picture of me to prove it, which kind of makes no sense, but hey. Okay, so these comments were obviously abusive, violent, hateful, but the person didn't actually stop there, but instead they then went on to make public threats, such as, "We will destroy Elena's life." I don't know who "we" is. The hater and their 0 followers? I'm not sure. But that wasn't the only threat they made. And then they also publicly threatened to commit a crime by threatening to, quote-unquote, leak my nudes. Given that I've never taken nude pictures of myself, I'm excited to see them. When I discovered their abusive Twitter account, I immediately reported it, one, for being insulting, and then also for violating copyright because they used a picture of myself as their profile picture, but they didn't put an edit on it that would provide commentary on that particular picture, nor did they provide commentary on that particular picture anywhere else, which means it's not fair use for them to use it, and I had not granted them a license to use that picture. Now, reporting particular profiles or posts is something that I would call a short-term solution because it can help you to get these things taken down in that moment, but the problem is it may be that the person is allowed to continue to post but just has to delete some posts, or that they just make a new profile, or that they switch platforms and then continue their abuse there. Now, since the person was already on profile number 2 on a different platform, and since they had made threats such as, "We will ruin your life," which is a bit concerning, I decided to take some long-term action and report them to the police. There are limits to what you can say to people online and offline, and you can't just go around insulting people. In fact, insulting someone is a crime in Germany, paragraph 185 of the German Criminal Code. You're welcome. So yeah, you can't just go around saying anything about people. Doesn't mean you have to like everyone, you're allowed to publicly voice your opinion on someone, but there are limits to how you're allowed to express that opinion. And of course, you also can't just go around and threaten people with crimes that you're going to commit, such as, for example, publishing private photographs of these people. Now, reporting someone to the police is a long-term action because unless there's a very serious crime involved, hunting down a random hater on the internet is not going to be their first priority. But that doesn't mean it's not worth doing. Because the more people report instances of cyberbullying, the more cyberbullies will be worried about being held legally accountable for the vile, hateful, and abusive comments they have made online. So this is what happened to me, and this is what I did about it. I don't know if anything is going to come out of this police report, but at least I can tell myself that I did everything I could to have this person held accountable. Now, I've also decided for myself that this is the last time I'm going to talk about any of the hate comments I receive, because my platform has grown significantly over the past few months, and I used to, for example, screenshot comments which were, for example, openly sexist, and I would reply to them on my Twitter. But now that my audience has grown so much, it means giving them a significant platform, and I don't want to give any of these individuals any platform whatsoever. Now we're going to get into the most important part of this video, which is what I think I would give you as advice if you ever find yourself in a position as I did a few days ago. I would once again separate long-term and short-term actions. So short-term, the first thing that you can do and that you really should do is to tell someone about this. Someone you trust. No matter how embarrassing you find what is going on those abusive posts, please tell someone about it. The person may have personal pictures of you, they may make edits of you, and you may be embarrassed about this, but it's so important to tell someone about it because they can help you, just put some perspective in it, and it also just helps to see that some people aren't taking this serious, that they aren't gonna fall for this. It's important to share. So please tell someone, no matter how embarrassed you are about what's going on. Next, call the person a cyberbully in your head. And what I mean by that is, when you start to refer to someone as a cyberbully, this kind of speech very clearly marks to you that's a perpetrator. And that's a strong word, a cyberbully or a perpetrator. But that very clearly marks who's at fault here. And it prevents you from looking for fault, for something that you did, in order to understand why this person made this account about you. If someone so obsessively hates you that they make an account dedicated to hating on you, that's never a you problem, but it's a serious them problem. Next, keep a record. So when that person posts something about you, make sure you take a screenshot. If you don't want these things in your camera roll, because obviously you don't want to look at that every day when you open your camera roll, just put it into a folder on your laptop so you don't always have to look at it, but that you ensure that you have a record. Okay, now that you have your screenshot, so you have a report of what's going on, you can go ahead and report the person. So you can either report their account, or if it's only individual posts, you can report these. And because reporting may lead to the deletion of the account or individual posts, you need to make sure that you take screenshots or something to ensure that you have evidence of what went down in case it becomes relevant in the future or you want to file a police report. When you've done all that, the best policy is to just go ahead and block them. Because you don't want them popping up on your feed, and they can go ahead and scream out their hate into the social media world for all they want, as long as their account sadly continues to exist, but you should not have to listen to it, and luckily there is a block button on all social media. Now, if you know who's behind this, or they are not even trying to conceal their identity, and you are connected to this person, for example, through the same school, university, or the same employer, then you could also report it to that school, university, or employer, but obviously that only applies when you know who's behind this. And that's it for the short term. So the short term is really about ensuring you have a support system in place so that you've told people that you trust, then ensuring that you have a record of what happened, and then also trying to get these posts taken down as soon as possible. Now, you may also want to take long-term action. So long-term action is something that's not going to help you right now, but it may help you in the future. It may take a while, but it might be useful. These are optional things. They may not apply in every case, but the two things that I would recommend you do if it applies to you is, one, file a police report, and secondly, talk to a professional about this. Now, let's first talk about the police report thing. If you're not sure whether what your cyberbully did constitutes a crime in your jurisdiction, I would recommend giving your local police station a call, dropping by, or just writing them an email, showing them the screenshots and asking them if there's anything in there that would warrant filing a police report. And if there is, you can file one if you're comfortable with doing so, and maybe they will be able to find the person. But regardless of whether or not they're able to locate that person, the more people report incidents of cyberbullying, the more cyberbullies will be afraid of one day being held accountable in a court of law for their actions. And their actions are crimes in many instances. So reporting actually can help deter perpetrators, and that's why it matters. So if you're comfortable doing it, it is worth doing. Now, if this continues for a long time and your cyberbully is kind of determined not to give up, then aside from legal action, what you can do is you can also then talk to a professional, which may be really important because yes, you have your support system of friends and family, but they're no mental health professionals usually. So it might be worth talking to a therapist, to a teacher that you trust, to a counselor at your school or university, whatever it is that you have available to you. But it's really important that you make sure that you're okay, because your cyberbully does not deserve the success of making you miserable. If you guys want to know more about the topic of cyberbullying, whether it is guidance on what to do in those situations or whether you're more interested in, the statistical side and research on it, I'm going to link a few resources ordered by topic down below in the description box. But what I really want you to take away from this video is this. You're allowed to have an opinion on the internet, you're allowed to voice that opinion on the internet, and that opinion doesn't have to be nice. And you don't have to be nice to everyone on the internet, but you have to be decent.